Hello, I'm Nancy Andre from Wingate Living, and welcome to Living Your Best Senior Life. Joining us today is Rob Sacchetti from Edward Jones right here in Needham, right up the street. Rob is a certified financial planner with many years of experience in helping retirees make smart financial choices. Rob, thank you so much for being here today. Super excited and really excited to hear about all the financial tips that you have for me and for our audience in our golden years. A subject that affects all of us managing our money wisely as we enjoy retirement.
Well, Nancy, thanks for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's great. I know this is something that there's so many questions, and right now just where we're at in the world, and when we turn the news on every day, and I can only imagine, and you're like, oh my God, she's gonna ask me this question, but just with what's going on in the world today financially, and it's kind of frightening out there. So I'm so glad that you're here today, and hopefully you can put a calming element onto this. So we're really looking for that. So let's talk big picture. Many residents that we're working with, that you are working with and we're also working with, they're living on fixed income, Social Security, maybe a pension, and some savings. What is the key to stretching those dollars?
That's a great question, right? And one of the foundational components of financial planning is cash flow. And what is that? That's understanding your expenses versus your income.
Okay.
So one of the first strategies we would say is understand where your income is coming from, whether it be from Social Security, from pension, or other guaranteed income sources.
Okay.
Then the other idea and strategy would be the expenses component. Understand your expenses in two ways: discretionary and necessary. So necessary expenses would be utilities, mortgage, food, and such. Where discretionary could be entertainment or travel or more fun. What this does is it gives you a good idea of what expenses you might have a little bit more flexibility with if the choice came about where you had to decide where to pull some expenses from.
Okay.
After you understand your expenses and your income, the difference of those two is your income gap.
All right.
And what this represents is what you need to pull from your savings in order to maintain your lifestyle in retirement. And we want to make sure we don't pull out too much where you don't run out of any money moving forward.
Okay. Yes, we definitely don't want to do that.
Yes.
So, is there any general rule of thumb with all of this? Because it is, for the average person, it's very complicated. I mean, for me personally, one of the reasons why I love working with you so much is you simplify the process. You simplify a very, very confusing, complex thing, this financial thing, and you make it easy. But would you say that there is any general rule of thumb to this?
Yeah, there could be, right? So generally speaking, for a 65-year-old,
Okay.
what we recommend is pulling out 4% from your assets at most every year. And that would be through a portfolio that's diversified between equity, fixed income, and cash.
Okay.
And with that 4%, if you increase 3% every year for inflation, you'll put yourself in a position where you will not run out of money. So at a starting position, 4% would be the place to start with. However, everyone's situation is different, so really we need to focus in on a personalized plan to make sure you meet your needs and your goals.
Okay, that's great. Question on the personalized plan.
Yeah.
Is that something you update annually, or what do you do? I mean, you don't just...
Yeah, so it's very important to monitor the progress towards your goals. And on a basic example, we would monitor that once a year and make changes where needed. But life changes at times that you can't tell.
Exactly.
So if there's a change in life event, change in job, change in expenses, that'd be a great time to reassess your situation and your withdrawal strategy.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What about annuities? Many of our friends have been hearing that word frequently, and what can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so annuities, I hear this a lot as well. There's a lot of misconceptions about them, but annuities can provide you guaranteed income for the rest of your life.
Right.
However, there are many different types of annuities with many different options, many different features, but also many different costs. So what I would recommend is working with someone, preferably a fiduciary, that can act in your best interest to find out what could be if needed, the right annuity for your situation based on your risk tolerance and what you're looking to achieve.
All right. Take a step back here. You just said fiduciary. Is every financial advisor a fiduciary?
That's a great question,
Is it?
right?
Yay!
Yeah, it really is. So what does fiduciary mean? It means someone who works in your best interest. And I would like to think anyone working with your money would be in that role.
Okay.
But certain particular roles, whether you're a certified financial planner or financial advisor, may or may not be in a fiduciary role. So I would ask the person you're working with, are you a fiduciary?
Okay. Are you a fiduciary?
I can be both.
Okay.
Right? So
Great.
what that means is if you want to work with me in a fiduciary capacity, we can do that. If you want to work with me in a non-fiduciary capacity, we can do that as well. And why someone might do that is they may want to invest a little bit outside what we deem in their best interest.
Okay.
So
Do you see that as a common, something that most people generally do, that kind of keep some close to their side? So, I don't know, just God forbid?
it's not common. In most capacity, we work as a fiduciary.
Okay.
But if someone wants to have an over-concentration in one of their favorite tech stocks, that might not be in their best interest, especially if the market goes down 30, 40%. In that role, we would advise them, you might not want to do that, but if they want to, they can do that in a non-fiduciary capacity.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, that's amazing. Like the different, I had no idea that you need to be that and that you are that, so that's great. Okay, so we've heard about a rise in the financial scams, especially the scams that are targeting seniors. What advice can we give to anybody watching, any of our friends, as far as advice and things to be looking out for so that this does not happen to them?
Yeah, unfortunately, the scams are becoming more sophisticated, and you nailed it, they are targeting seniors. And they're targeting them through mailers, through email, and even through phone calls. So what I would say, if anyone's reaching out to you looking for personal information, be wary of that. The IRS is not going to be calling. They're not going to be sending you an email.
Okay.
They're going to be sending it everything through certified mail or through the post office. So watch out for giving out any personal information. And then furthermore, there'd be more sense of urgency if they're pushing you. And if they're asking you to make a payment, say through a gift card or through cryptocurrency.
Okay.
If that's the case, I'd be very wary of that situation. Certainly reach out to a trusted person to get some help in that case.
Because it's pretty amazing how sophisticated some of these scammers actually are. I remember this was several years ago, but I was down visiting my mom and dad in Maryland, and my father had just gotten a call that his oldest grandson was in jail due to a drug issue, and that we needed, it was $9,999, just under the $10,000 marker.
Yeah.
And they're so sophisticated, they were able to somehow clip onto his voice and put that into this call. It was crazy. I mean, who would have known? And if it weren't for my oldest brother there that said, oh my gosh, this is crazy, and stop this right now. But it's really frightening.
Yeah,
So,
you make a great point, right? With AI and the advances of technology, being able to mimic voices for any type of two-factor authentication you have is making that even more problematic as we move forward. So.
Jeez, wow. Okay, I'm just trying to think, what financial safeguards would you recommend to just the average person that's just very interested and hasn't actually, they don't have a solidified relationship with a financial advisor / planner, someone like yourself? What do you recommend?
Yeah, there's a few that we can put out there. Number one, monitoring on your account. So you have a bank account, you certainly use their monitoring activity that they have available to them. This could monitor any type of transactions that aren't normal for you, or any large transactions where you'd get notification if that were to occur. And also consider setting up a durable power of attorney. And what is that?
I was just going to say, what is that?
I can see that in your eyes. So that is someone who you deem certainly a confidant that can make financial decisions for you. And that is a durable power of attorney as opposed to a springing power of attorney, which are two concepts we hear a lot about. A durable power of attorney is someone that can make decisions for you today. regardless of your situation.
Okay.
Whereas a springing power of attorney comes into place when you can't make those decisions for yourself. So for my clients, depending on their personal situation, they either put together a springing power of attorney or durable power of attorney. But when the need arises to help make decisions for you, that's in
Okay.
your best interest, the power of attorney can do that. And that's what we want them to do. Also, to say, hey, review your will, right? Life changes. Your goals change, right?
Absolutely.
So make it a, it doesn't have to be annual, but certainly make it a goal to review your will from time to time, especially when there's changes in your life and big life events. Perhaps moving to a new home or a new state would be a good reason to do that.
Okay. Do you, just back to the will part,
Yeah.
you know, I've just, in talking to friends and colleagues over
Yeah.
the years, and they'll say, oh, well, we don't have, our money right now is in our own account, we manage it, but everything is dictated and all of our wishes are in my will. Is that sufficient?
It could be for some, right? So one thing to note, you likely have an IRA or a 401k
Right.
or a life insurance policy. And each one of those policies will have designated beneficiaries. So guess what? Doesn't matter what the will says. If that designated beneficiary says these funds or this benefit from the life insurance goes to this person, regardless of what the will says, it's going to go to that person. So you want to make sure you look at all that together.
Even if you're not talking to that person anymore?
Even if it's an ex-spouse, yes.
Really?
Yes. So.
Okay,
Yep.
that's actually really good to know, just to go back through, because think about all the various things where, you know, they want to know who our beneficiary is and what have you. And I know myself, I've changed, I mean, prior to us having a daughter, a child, I definitely had quite a few different people. So I probably should review really important
Good idea to review that.
documents as
Absolutely.
well, right?
Yes.
Right. Oh my God. Okay, so let's talk budgeting. What tips can you share that will help the seniors manage monthly expenses? Is there any just simplified answer to this?
Yeah, so that's a really good question because it goes back to what I said before. The foundation of financial planning is cash flow. It's really identifying what your expenses are. So we would say track everything. Track your household expenses, track your gas expenses, groceries, insurance. There's some apps that can help you do this. One app that I like to use called Mint, M-I-N-T.
M-I-N-T, Mint.
Yep, so it's a good app you can get online, but even you don't need to use an app. Just logging it in a notebook or an Excel spreadsheet, what you spend on a monthly basis can help you get a good understanding of your outflows,
Right.
and certainly compare that to your inflows to make sure we're in a positive situation.
You could even, I'm just thinking, elaborating a little bit more on that, for somebody that is manual and is not using the app or anything like that, and just maybe on a weekly basis, just having all the receipts that you've used, and then just to be able to plug that into a simple spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that way it just gives you, because when you see things on paper and you have to be accountable to it, it definitely makes you pay attention a little bit more.
Exactly, right? And many credit card companies and certainly your banks, when you use their debit cards, are tracking your expenses as well.
Right.
And they usually provide you a nice output of where you're spending your money,
Yeah.
whether it be travel, whether it be groceries.
TJ Maxx,
TJ Maxx.
Home Goods.
Here we go.
There's definitely an area on my credit card statement that says it. It's a little frightening, but yeah. No, you're right though. It's amazing what is already being done for us. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel necessarily.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, what about medical expenses? They can really, really add up. Do you have any advice for anybody watching today, what they can do there with that?
Yeah, so definitely those are on Medicare. Every year, certainly look at your supplemental plans that are available and compare them. And certainly look at the Part D that's available as well and try to find out what's best for your situation. Everyone's different, right? Just
And the Part D is
drugs.
Exactly, medication.
Prescriptions, right?
Okay,
So,
all right.
you know, what's good for someone might not be good for someone else, right? So everyone has an
Absolutely.
individual situation. But as you prepare for those expenses, one thing I want to highlight is what's called a health savings account. And you might hear that it's called an HSA.
Yes.
HSA is one of the best gifts the government has ever given us when it comes to accounts. And the reason for that, it's triple tax efficient. The money that you put into an HSA is tax deductible. So if you're eligible to contribute, go ahead and do it. You get a tax break for the contributions that you make the year that you make them.
Okay.
When the money goes into that account, it gets to grow and grow tax-free, which is another benefit. And when you want to take the money out and distribute it and use it, if you use it for medical expenses, you don't have to pay any tax on that as well.
Okay.
There's no account like that we have available to us.
No, that's incredible.
It is.
Incredible. And oftentimes, I'm starting to see companies are actually giving you a credit card that links directly to your account. So that it just, again, to simplify the process even more.
Absolutely, right? I have my HSA account and I use that as
Yeah.
well. But what I would say, if you don't have to use the HSA, don't. If you have the cash flow to pay out of pocket, do that as you accumulate the funds and let them continue to grow tax-free.
That's a great, okay. I was thinking that the other day when I was
Yeah.
picking up a prescription. That is a good idea, especially if it's, a smaller amount, and just continue to see that grow and
Exactly.
flourish.
Exactly.
All right, so the next is a fun question. So many of us want to leave something behind for our children, or a cause close to our hearts. What should we be thinking about? Because I see both sides. So many people, and especially where I'm at Wingate, come in and they say, I don't want to spend what I've got. I want to leave this all to my child or children or what have you. On the other side of the coin, I'm like, well, you've worked so hard and you've put things in certain accounts so that you could, in the event that you decided to look at senior living options, you would have the funds available to support that. What are your thoughts? What are your suggestions regarding, best advice?
Yeah, so when it comes to legacy planning, that's usually one of the most important goals that my clients talk about. So when we talk about estate planning, we really want to make sure your desires are honored.
Okay.
So let's understand what they are. What are your goals? Let's document those goals and make sure that we understand what they are, and better yet, communicate them with those that you love.
Okay.
And some steps you can take throughout that process is, we talked about before, update your will, review it from time to time. Make sure it's what you want to happen. Mm-hmm. Number two, we talked about this as well. One of the most simple ways to pass on assets to your beneficiaries is to just update the beneficiaries in the accounts. Okay. That's the simplest way to do it for the accounts that can do it. Why not take advantage of that when you can? And then lastly, consider creating or visiting an estate planning attorney,
okay,
and creating what we call living trusts. And those living trusts have different beneficiaries or different attributes than just your beneficiaries, where those trusts can determine where your assets go and maybe even how they're used.
Oh, okay.
Moving forward. So get a little bit, we call it control from the grave at that point. So get a
I like that. Control from the grave.
Yes.
Okay, that is definitely.
Yeah.
But that actually is really great advice, because ultimately, I think, and just from everything I've seen and family experiences and things like that, you want to honor the person's wishes, financially, emotionally, physically, all those different areas. So that's great. Okay, what everybody wants to know, what about charitable giving?
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that? What can you tell us who are listening today?
Yeah, so we certainly link that with legacy planning with folks as well. So you can make any donation you want directly to a charity, or you can use what's called a donor-advised fund as well. And making contributions to a donor-advised fund has an advantage where you receive a tax deduction today, but those funds get to grow, and your benefit or your gift can be a lot more at the time.
How do you even find out about that or fill out that form? Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do you?
Yeah, so it certainly should be part of a comprehensive financial plan.
Okay.
'Cause you want it to work with your plan as a total. So working with a professional or financial advisor can help you understand what could be the best donor advised fund, or DAF as we call it in the industry, for you,
Okay,
and what you're looking to achieve. Also, you can make contributions if you're over 70 and a half to a qualified charitable donation as well. So basically taking money from your IRAs, usually where this comes from, donate it to a charity and get a deduction from that as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you have to be, you said, is it 78?
70 and a half.
70 and a half.
Yes. And on
Okay.
top of that, when you do turn 73, the government requires you take a distribution from your IRAs. And that way they can collect the taxes on it. If you like, that required distribution could go directly to a charity and you don't need to pay the tax on it. And the charity gets the benefit.
Interesting. I love that.
Yeah.
You really simplify this whole process, and thank you, because
Appreciate
not
that.
everybody is wired like yourself. I certainly am not with financial. Okay, so we're going to wrap things up shortly, but do you have any advice for anyone that is considering senior living options right now, just with everything that is going on in the world? People are nervous, people are concerned, people don't know, and I know that you're not looking in this crystal ball, but what can you offer as far as suggestions or comments or anything?
Well, that's a good question, and thank you, Nancy. And there's always something going on that can cause us concern for the future. Whether it's now, whether it's 5 years ago during COVID, or any year before that, there's always something that causes us concern. I would go back again, and I've talked about this a lot, the foundations of financial planning.
Okay.
Number one, understand your cash flow. Understand your expenses or what your future expenses are. And once you understand that, you can put a plan together for your senior living options. You can identify the senior living option that best fits the standard of living that you're looking for with what you can afford in your cash flow. And you can also look at the ones that have the more flexibility for you as you grow older.
Okay.
But what's most important and where you can take advantage now is through planning. And with proper planning, you can plan for those expenses moving forward and maybe give you a little bit of peace of mind as well.
So literally somebody could, and I suggest this, I know myself and my team at Wingate suggest this often, just to bring the fees
Yeah.
and monthly, annually, and present them to your advisor, also to potentially to an elder law attorney, and they'll be able to give you a good idea as far as you're fine, you're comfortable, everything is okay, move forward. But it takes a little bit, I think it takes a little of the stress off of the person that's, looking
Yeah.
into this.
Absolutely. And
so-
that's what we like to do. Go through the expenses, go through their income, and give them honest feedback, but ultimately a peace of mind of where they are and they're making the right decision.
Absolutely. No, and that's everything. Okay, so before we wrap up today, can you leave us with a few key takeaways? Just to really simplify it yet again, one last time, so that anybody that is watching can really benefit from this, and just remember a couple key things. So
Yeah, we'll try to sum this down to 4 steps, right?
Okay.
Number 1, know where your money is coming from.
know where your money is coming from.
Yep, know where it's coming and know what that withdrawal strategy is with
Okay.
that money. Protect yourself, number 2, right? Be careful of the scams. They're out there and they're only getting worse at this point with the technology. Stay proactive. Review your budget. Life changes, expenses change over time.
Absolutely.
So stay proactive with that. And number 4, talk to a professional, and particularly a professional who has your best interest in their mind to help create a
Absolutely.
plan for you.
So you could potentially, if somebody is brand new and they're like, all right, I just listen to Rob Sacchetti from Edward Jones on this Living Your Best Senior Life. He seems like a great guy, which you are. I want to meet with you. This person wants to, a potential client, meet with you, but they also want to do their due diligence. They've got 2 people that a friend of theirs, a resource, had said, check them out. Are there any strings attached? Can somebody just come in and get a general introductory meeting with you, or somebody from your team, or how does it work?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's typically how it first works. We'd have an introductory meeting and try to understand what it is you're looking to achieve.
Okay.
What's most important to you. And then it's a 2-way street, right? We want to make sure we're the right fit for you.
Absolutely.
And you could be the right fit for us.
Sure.
So what we want to flesh out during that first meeting is what your goals are, where you are today, what you want to achieve, and can you achieve that? Is that realistic where you are with your risk tolerance in this stage of life? And from there, if it's something we think we can move forward on, now we're talking about open up the books and doing a deep dive into your financial situation.
I love that. And I also noticed in the event that somebody is not able to come into your office, because I've seen you do this at Wingate, that you come to us or you come to the person.
Certainly, yeah. So, we love to visit our clients wherever they are. And certainly Wingate is one of those places we like to go to, and it's a pleasure going there, and it doesn't help that it's right across the highway from where we are
Literally,
right now.
like we could throw, yeah, not a very good thrower, but I could if I
Exactly.
was.
Yeah, so we like to meet our clients where they are.
That's awesome, great. Okay, so let's see, how do people get in touch with you? How do they find you?
Yeah, so our office, brand new, we just opened it up. It's at 175 Highland Ave, right here in Needham,
Yes.
on the 4th floor. So if you wanted to come by and stop by and say hello, please do.
Yeah. Diagonal to Panera, pretty much.
Diagonal to Panera and
Yep.
across from Staples, I guess.
Yes.
But certainly if you Googled or went on any internet search engine and typed in Edward Jones Needham, you get our contact information there as well. But feel
Excellent.
free to stop by.
Excellent. So, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is such a pleasure being able to chat with you and to share information on what you do. You're an awesome resource and really a great human being, so I appreciate that. And I so appreciate sharing this information with anybody that's watching. So thank you, and thank you for watching Living Your Best Senior Life. Until next month.